Southwest 5498, turn right, heading 325, join final, cleared, visual approach, runway 35 right.
Heading 325, clear for the visual 35 right, Southwest 5498.
Hey guys, Tim with Flight Deck Studios. I'm going to do a little tutorial here on FSUIPC, and this is on the Cessna Citation Longitude, and it is the mod version 1.95, I think. So I know a lot of people don't use FSUIPC, but there are some people that still do. Now, why am I using it? Well, I went into the options to set up a profile for the longitude, and for the life of me, I could not get the reverse thruster to work. So what I did is I came into the control options, both in the flight yoke and the flight quadrant, both are Saitek, and I removed all the power management bindings. So throttle, propeller, mixture, I deleted them all. Now I did leave some of my other switches and stuff are still programmed through Microsoft. But if you want to use FSUIPC for anything else, you need to delete those control bindings that you want to do with FSUIPC. And you can do switches or yokes or just anything you want. In fact, you can do even more than that, but I'm not going to go into that. Like I say, I got a little disgruntled and said, well, I got FSUIPC, so I'm going to use that. So just remember to go in and delete any key bindings in Microsoft. And then what I'm going to do is, what I found is the Cessna Citation Longitude, and I don't know if this is true in all aircraft or just this one. I'm going to probably do the TBM 930 here in a couple days, but it has to be powered up and running. So just keep that in mind. I don't know if that's required, but that's the only way I could get this to work. So I am going to load up Denver International, and I'm going to do, I think I'll do runway 8. It's probably not in use right now. Let's go back to daytime, and we're going to fly. So you can see I've got MSI Afterburner running up here in the corner. That's just for me. I'm getting ready to build a new gaming machine as well as replace the Saitek with Honeycomb, both the Alpha and the Bravo, probably here in the next month. So I just wanted to kind of use this as a baseline. And for as old as this machine is, 10 years old, right now I'm getting 40 and 50 frames per second. So that's not too bad for what I've got. Granted, I'm not on ultra settings, but it works for me. It's flyable. So let's let everything get powered up here. And we'll keep an eye on the throttle here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to open up FSUIPC, and I've already set all this up. I did it earlier and I had the wrong settings in OBS, and it just didn't turn out good, so I decided to just redo it. So I'm going to make this short and sweet. So I've opened it up. I originally went in to the folder and deleted in FSUIPC. I deleted the configuration file. And when you do that, when you restart Microsoft Flight Simulator, it creates a new config file that's clean. So that's what I did. And then you'll open it up like I just did. Go to Assignments, Access, and then the first thing you'll need to do is go to Profile Specific and check that little box and create a new profile. I created one for Cessna. And then another box will come up something about, other key bindings or whatever. I just select no. You can go either way, I suppose. But now that we're here and more or less set up, I had to shut the door. Dogs were barking. So in this axis assignment, I'm going to, of course, check the profile specific, and I'm going to, on the throttle quadrant, on the throttle stick, I'm going to activate that, and I'm going to have to rescan it because it didn't take. And I'm going to click that button twice. I'm going to rescan it again. Now you can see it picked up the throttle. And you can see I went to throttle 1 set. Now there's actually 3 different options you can do. There's axis throttle 1 set, and there's throttle 1 axis set EX1. So I did the throttle 1 set. Now I don't know what the difference is between the 3 of them, but this one is what worked for me. So now I can click OK, and I'll show you that throttle's working. And then I came back up, and of course got to do throttle 2. So hit rescan, and this is weird the way this happens, so watch carefully. I'm doing the propeller axis, so I'm going to hit that, and it shows throttle 1. That's not the interesting part. I'm going to rescan. Now see what happened? It shows the spoiler axis. Rescan again, and it's blank. Now it should pick it up, and it did. So you need to send to FS on all these as a normal axis, and then throttle 2 set, and hit OK. So now you can see that number 2 is working, number 1 is working, and the spoiler is working too. I'll get to that here in a second. Well, let's just go ahead and do that now. So in the axis assignments, let's rescan it, and again, I don't know why it sometimes kicks up the wrong or the last one. Clear it. Okay, now we got axis spoiler set, and I did the send to FSX and profile specifics checked, and I'll just click OK. So fix that real quick, and because I've already set this up, that's why it keeps doing that in the simulator. So under assignments, axis, now I go to joystick calibration, and again, profile specific, and let's move over to the throttles, and on the throttles I clicked reset, and then I cycled the throttle on the quadrant on the Saitek and set this up. So you cycle it one time, 100% back to 0, and then 0 will be this side, and you set it. Take it up to 100%, go over to this side, set it, and you're done. And do the same down here. Now, the only thing that was kind of odd is you see this no reverse zone up here. I had to check that box, and then I had to uncheck this exclude throttle end set. Okay, and I'm not sure why. I kind of looked through the documentation, and I mean there's a lot of documentation on this thing, but couldn't find anything to kind of explain it to me. So let's go over and look at the spoiler. So spoilers, I did the same thing. Reset, cycle the throttle or the axis, and set it at 0, and then set it again at 100%. And the only thing I did different was I reversed it. So that way, as you'll see down here and over here, it kind of operates the same way. It's not necessary, that's just personal taste. And like I told you, some of the other buttons like the brakes, the parking brakes, the flaps, the gear, I've got them set to buttons down here on the Saitek. So let's do the flaps. Flaps up, flaps 10 or 5, whatever that is. So those still work in Flight Simulator. So the only thing I'm doing are these 3 axes right here. So in order to get these 2 to go back into reverse thrust, you go to Assignments, Buttons, again, Profile Specific, and then you'll notice when I come over here to the throttle, it shows joystick A button 6. And I don't know if that's what I usually use, but it usually shows up button 8, but that's neither here nor there. Go over here to select FS control, check that box, and on the drop down, go to throttle 1 decrease. Come down, check this box, control to repeat, and do throttle 1 decrease again, and click OK. And you're going to do that for both of your throttles. So that would be these 2 here. So you're going to do the exact same thing on the second throttle. Go to your buttons and Profile Specific. Push it down and you can see I've got it set up A7. Select for FS control, throttle 2 decrease. Check box the control to repeat, throttle 2 decrease, and click OK. So now they're all set up, and you can use the axis. This is a good way to calibrate your joystick, just so you know. If you've got it, you probably already know that. So we can close that out, and I guess the only other thing I've got to add is, like I said, you notice that, you know, I've got the aircraft powered up, engines running on the runway. You can do it however you need. If you know, if you're over at the jet center or the gateway, a gate, you can power it up there and do this, but I could not get it to work unless I powered it up. So let's go full throttle, back to idle, both throttles, back to reverse thrust, and then back to idle. And then of course, like I said, I've got my spoiler set up on the mixture axis, and that's the way I like it to work. So hopefully, you know, somebody will get some use out of this. I know a lot of people don't use FSUIPC, and there's not a lot of videos out there covering simple stuff like this. There's stuff out there covering really complicated stuff, like if you're doing a home-built cockpit. That's what FSUIPC is for. I bought it because I also use Pilot to ATC for my ATC in the simulation. I prefer it over what Microsoft does and some of the others. Right now, I think that's my best option, other than Pilot Edge or something like that. But that's why I have it. I think it was like 29 bucks. It's FSUIPC 7, and I just updated that recently. But there you have it. And I may do another video here in a couple days on the TBM 930, because that throttle quadrant is what they call a complex throttle quadrant. And I've seen guys set it up with FSUIPC, but the way they did it, it didn't work for me. So maybe I'll do another video on that here in a couple days. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and take care.
Southwest 5498, turn right, heading 325, join final cleared, visual approach runway 35 right.